Well, David O. Russell is not finding joy on the set of his new movie. You heard that right. Dumois has confirmed at the highest levels of their journalism that David O. Russell apparently couldn't stop himself from throwing a full-blown tantrum and screaming like a little baby on the set of the movie he's currently directing. Sources are looking into what caused him to throw a little fit like a toddler, and they think either someone didn't get his correct sweet green order for lunch, or someone called him Mr. Russell instead of Mr. O. Russell. In my opinion, if he ever wants to direct a movie again, he should be forced to wear a sign that says, "Sorry, I'm a big 66-year-old baby and I can't stop myself from screaming and throwing a fit on set." Anyway, and now here's Amy Scarlatta with more news.
Thank you, Riley, for the critical update. What is he so mad about all the time?
I have no clue. I would love if I had wishes to be granted. I know there's a lot of other stuff I could get, but to get a bird's eye view or a fly on the wall view of what the hell goes wrong with David O. Russell on every single set and why he's allowed to still direct movies after throwing tantrums on every single film, I'll never know. I'll never understand it. It's shocking. And you sent me this news. You knew it was
Thought
red
of you
meat.
Immediately.
It was red meat for me. He just can't stop. There's something obviously deeply wrong with him, and he takes it out on all of the people around him. And for some reason, they still let him work around people. It's very interesting. But
yeah. I saw a different headline that Harvey Weinstein said that some Hollywood insiders still send their scripts for his notes in jail. I wonder if David O. sends his little thought starters over to Harv.
Absolutely. He's definitely sending the script to Bananas or whatever the hell David O. Russell's working on now, and Harvey's giving it the Harvey, beautiful Harvey touch. Wow. Yeah, I want, well, never mind. I don't want to ask anything of Harvey, but I would love to know who's secretly putting scripts, through the bars or reading them off to him on the phone. That's so interesting.
Did you see, this is unrelated to anything, but did you see that Prison Break in, where was it?
Oh shit, I don't
I'm
remember.
missing like the only detail of the story.
I think it was in, god damn, why am I thinking New Orleans? But I don't know.
I was thinking it was either New Orleans or Texas. If you think New Orleans, then I believe you.
No, I was just thinking of the first thing, but I loved it. I love, because you and I are big Escape from Alcatraz heads. I can't believe I remembered that. Apparently, the warden says we need to issue new toilets to every single inmate. They're clogging them up. The plumber keeps having to come to every single jail cell, and this is like the worst version of Escape from Alcatraz, but when they go, "Oh, my toilet's clogged, warden, please get me a new one." Once the warden started to make a new toilet for them, they used that soft clay that was built around this new toilet, and they started etching it away and got through. Similar, kind of Shawshank-esque in a way, but also a little bit of Escape from Alcatraz in there.
A few of them already got caught, which I mean, I don't know what they did, like why they're in there, but I always think it's fun when people escape, and I'm sad when they're captured.
No, I always picture that they sort of have a heart of gold, and it was more like falsely accused or something. Obviously there's probably one stinker who hops in and he goes, I got to get in on this. I'll kill you if you don't let me in, or I'll squeal like a pig to the warden if you don't let me a part of it. But I generally, like, especially if you're watching Escape from Alcatraz, I'm rooting for Clint to get the hell out of there.
I don't know how often we've already brought this up, but I'm really getting the hankering to rewatch Escape at Dannemora. I only watched it once.
I've never seen it.
I think we've said this before, but you should. Then I will watch it again.
That's awesome. I will too. I think that there's a lot of hubris for these kind of prisoners once they get the initial plan. It's like, you and I have talked about this. Like, you devise a strategy, you feel great, you tell your friends, you're like, the warden's making new toilets, we can just etch out a piece of the soft clay and get out of here. Well, sorry, but you also have to plan for the fact that once you pop out, you're in the outside world again.
The gulf is right there. Figure it out.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that you and I would take it a step further. I'd be like, okay, well, no. Like, Billy, listen, don't squeal to the warden yet. We've got a plan to get out, but we also all need to know how we act very well once we're in the outside world to get out of there. Do you ever drive on that one street in California where it's like, don't stop, for the love of God? There could be an inmate outside right now. Do you know that street that I'm saying? It's on the way to Arizona. It's like on the 10 or
like
something.
a highway, not like a street.
Yeah, it says it's a freeway, and it goes.
You're like on like Wilcox in Hollywood.
Yeah, it has this big. Yeah, no, it's. You're right. It's more of a bigger street with multiple cars and lanes, but it has a big flashing sign. It says, "For the love of God, please do not pick up anyone from here. They could possibly be an escaped convict." I always think about that.
Hitchhiking is really not a thing anymore. I think I'd be scared always.
Me too. Yeah, it's you used to be able to in the 60s, I guess, in the 70s, if they had a guitar and a leather jacket or a jean jacket with a bunch of buttons on it, you'd be like, I think this is okay. They're probably going to a music festival. It's like Bob Dylan going to Newport Fair Convention or whatever. But now it's just I think it's not a huge way to get around.
Remember in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they have Sharon Tate pick up somebody and take them to Westwood, and she's like, "Have fun on your journey," and you're like, "No, like, start to be scared of hippies now."
Oh my God! Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And then in a way, Charlie Manson. Speak of him directly, he kind of ruined it for everybody because stranger danger started to be a real thing. Everyone started to lock their doors and say, I don't want to be a part of, these murders. And wow, well, that's interesting. I mean, from the two biggest headlines in news today, David O. Russell straight to the jailbreak in New Orleans.
It's giving topical.
It's amazing. I have something that is kind of burning a hole in my pocket, news-wise. Can I share it with you?
Please.
Okay, so Megan's been whispering in my ear every night. She goes, there's a new bombshell, apparently, that is scheduled for Summer House, where I didn't even see the original, so you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but someone teased there's a huge explosive bombshell blowing up at the Summer House.
We're going to get like blocked with this language.
There's a huge bombshell that's going to be safely executed at the at the Summer House reunion, and people have been whispering. You've heard this, I know. People have been whispering that there's huge talk because Amanda Petula showed a photo of Lindsay Hubbard in a field of grass being filmed by cameras with her daughter Gemma. And people were like, well, this didn't appear in Summer House, the season. Where the hell did this come from? And then people are speculating that Summer House might be getting an offshoot where the cast members, specifically like Amanda, Paige, and Sierra, would be getting an offshoot of their life in New York City, and then Summer House gets to come back to being a party zone, and then West and Jesse would kind of be like the Animal House captains and say, like, we're recruiting new people to just party their asses off. That's the rumor. Have you heard this?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm like, why did Amanda post that? Like, if it is a tease of, I can't imagine that would be allowed.
I know. That's what I thought too. I'm so skeptical of this. I was kind of led into talking about this, but I didn't have a lot of the details. But I also was skeptical. I was like, I don't think Amanda would just be able to have a post where on the second photo of her photos that it says an exclusive scene from a spinoff, unless that's kind of like a whisper campaign to get the ball rolling. But then someone else said more evidence is that Jesse Solomon, which we'll talk about this, he was on Tink's, that's a person, they're Tink's podcast, and apparently she said, I got the best idea in the world, you all should spin off. I was like, what are the odds of this? But she said that they should spin off you guys in New York City, and then you and Wes should lead the house. And that Jesse went like this. Sorry to do it just on YouTube, but he went like this. He goes, he looked left and right, kind of like he was busted in the act.
Askance.
He looks completely askance, and people said, oh my God, you just got busted by Tinks in real time. But I have a lot of thoughts about this, whether or not it's true or not. I was
also curious why Amanda, Gemma is, as we've discussed, an emoji baby, and she wasn't emojified in that picture. But it was a little, since they were so far away, you didn't have too much clarity. But I was like, whoa.
I thought the same thing. Oh no, I seriously, I went as far as my fingers could go.
Zoom and enhance.
I zoomed in as much as possible because we had just talked about exclusively an emoji baby, and I felt like that was sort of a soft launch for the baby face of Gemma. I was surprised that for two reasons you could imagine everyone screaming at Amanda to to take that down.
I also saw, sorry, we'll get back.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
West posted a video with a baby, like, on his lap on TikTok, and all the comments were like, Lindsay doesn't want her baby shown. Like, if this is how I see Lindsay's baby the first time, I'm going to freak the fuck out. And he was like, he replied to one, was like, other babies do exist, you know.
Oh my God. People said if this is Lindsay's fucking baby, I'm going to flip out.
They were like, if this is how I see her the first time, I'm going to be pissed. I was like, why?
God. Oh my God. That's the Lindsay Hub. That's the Hub House super fan club. The ones that can't spoil the sanctity of the emoji baby clause, and they can't have the baby revealed on
They
West's...
were all putting eek, like the eek emoji, like she doesn't like her baby shown, eek. And
Oh,
he's like, it's literally not her baby. Like, get a life, freaks.
Oh my God, he's allowed to see other babies in his life. But then he did actually see, I think, Gemma. And I saw this sort of comment that I can't even believe is real. Wes was looking at Gemma for the first time. He got the full face of Gemma for sure, but he's not showing us her face.
Privilege.
Major face-to-face action with Gemma. And then Lindsay goes, Gemma is telling you right now that you need to do better next season on Summer House. And I thought, oh my God, what a comment to say. In the voice of your child, you're chastising Wes for not, in your words, doing a good job this season. I kind of couldn't believe that. But I guess that's par for the course in that sort of dynamic between them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think, there was the huge Roni rumors that we've talked about, but then there hasn't been any traction on Roni. So
they're scrapping the shit out of that thing.
Yeah. And then Amanda posts this obscure thing. And then at the same time this week, Lindsay Hubbard is moving, and I've been following because I'm very curious if she's moving in with her baby daddy or not. And she hasn't said that. But it does appear to be a very nice apartment, although we know that her last apartment was $13,000. So I don't know if this could possibly be even more than that. But I'm like, did she sign a contract that made her able to move to a nicer apartment?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts on this, I mean, I think that Summer House is just hot as fucking lava. Excuse my French right now. I feel like Summer House, 10 seasons, or they're about to hit 10. Like, they're doing every endorsement deal under the sun. I just feel like they all have had tremendous gains in terms of the popularity of Summer House and them as established Bravo celebrities. So I could imagine that Lindsay, it's time for her to upgrade no matter what. But like you, if she is like getting like a Alec Baldwin-esque penthouse in New York, one of the most beautiful penthouses
Enough
you can get.
For 14 kids.
Yeah, then maybe you're like, oh, is this accommodating a new, Turner to be back in? And we already said, I remember, I think I said this last week. We think there's more evidence now that Turner and Lindsay have turned a new leaf in their relationship and are possibly, dating again or doing good. So I can imagine either reality.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it's not just our bias. I think that Summer House is arguably like the number one show on Bravo. Like, it's the most buzzy. Like, having Paige is a big deal because I still am like calibrating, getting used to how famous they are.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And what we always say on Turtle Time is a big thing of water that when it rushes in, it raises all boats. And so Paige's, what I mean? Paige's fame and all that kind of stuff is all just good. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, as we always say.
Yeah, and Andy's like always talking about it. I think they're kind of the prize pigs right now.
I think that's what. Yes, I think so too. I also think it's in part it's largely due to Turtle Time's coverage of Summer House.
I mean, we were in at the ground floor, I have to say.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. Oh, I have to.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I feel like there's just like a lot of turmoil in the Housewives franchise in general, and I think they're scrambling to maintain its relevance because I do think it's hard. Like, I'll bring it up for the 50th time. I'm binging Miami right now, and it was just like a different time, and I think it's really hard to like do that now in the same way. Yeah. It's just I'm not sure what code can be cracked.
They need to make it a little scrappier. They need to make it less polished. They need to get away from all of these established tropes. I want some producer when they go into the meeting and it's like the meeting on the season arc or whatever, I want a person to come in there and rip the board down and say, let's start from scratch. No finale party, no starting introduction party, no 2 episodes in they go on a local trip, and 7 episodes in, or no, towards the end of the season they go on an international trip. I just like, it's become way too much of a code that all of them follow. And I think that's why they feel so much more freewheeling in the earlier seasons. And also they need to start getting people that have like non-influencer careers, because a part of this is that in this new era of how people are famous or something, we've gotten away from just like people that had like dynamic careers where they had like actual 9-to-5s. They had clients that they had to think about and focus on. Like Roni is obviously the worst version of all of those things. In my opinion.
I just got to the part in season 3. That's embarrassing that I've watched it that fast, but
no, it's amazing.
Leah Black, which, you know, I'm not like obsessed with her, but I am kind of like just such a bygone type, where they just revealed that she had this like huge like a QVC makeup and cosmetics skincare line in the 80s, and they're showing all these old videos of her like in like peak 80s, like big hair, and I'm like, oh my god, it reminds me of, did you watch Dallas?
Oh boy, you busted me red-handed. I think I watched the first season and then unfortunately never got to come back, but I will. Because
I was like deeply obsessed with the lore of the what's her name and her mom. Was it like Dee Dee?
I'm so sorry, Amy. I have to leave you out on a full-blown limb over
here. The
here.
listeners know who I'm talking about. She was that amazing mom who would always be like, quite frankly, I don't give a rip. I don't give a dog's rip. And they had this like sort of potentially snake oil, like health and wellness line that they sold on TV. And it was like how their fortune was built. And it went back all the way to the 80s. And I'm just like, I want my housewives to have had a career in the 80s. I'm going to go a step further. Not just a career, but I want them to have like photos as adults in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like the glamour of that. Like, I'm just like, I don't want bitches that are like borderline my age. And I'm like, I think most people agree. Like, it's not because I'm getting older. You could say that, but I'm like, I like someone that's storied.
Me too, of course. I can't stand any show that's built around people that are young. I think it's absolutely awful so far, at least anything I've seen. So I completely agree with you. I think that they need to have some they need to get back to the basics on some of these franchises. And I'm also worried about some of the non-Housewives franchises. I mean, when you sent me the Maccabee Dynasty, I said, what the hell is this? And to be honest, to be quite frank, again, Next Gen NYC, I'm a little worried about that too, how much enjoyment I'll get out of that. I think that there's some retooling and reshaping, but then also I hate to be the person that's being like, I'm worried about some of this stuff, because then also on the other end, you and I get blown away every single day by the beautiful stuff that we actually do watch. We just got done with Salt Lake City and you and I were flipping out. So it's kind of just like, you know what I mean? It's just like we have to, obviously we wish that everything could be pure gold, but I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, Andy's claiming the new Miami is going to be sick as hell.
Oh, yeah.
When you were just saying that they need to retool Housewives, I was thinking, I've been staying afloat on Atlanta, and I think they are trying to, like, bend the mold a little bit, although they obviously got screwed with, like, the cast, and they're trying to figure it out, so it feels too soon to judge, but it's been kind of bleak. But on the newest episode, first of all, it made me cry. I don't know if you watched it, but it was like Portia and Shamia, they have like a heart-to-heart about their like pending problems, and they just are really sad about it. And it's sad because you think in this moment that maybe they finally like softened and figured it out. But I know from her being on Watch What Happens Live that in like current day that they're still not good. But I was like, wow, like that was powerful enough that it like made me like almost cry.
Wow.
But at the same time, the rest of the episode was like nothing.
Oh, yeah.
But they were like talking about cameras. Like she was like, I don't want the like on-camera version of you. I don't want the on-camera version of friendship. Like the show is like so important to you that you don't even care about what's going on with us. And they were just fully breaking the fourth wall the whole time. And I feel like this new iteration of it is doing that a lot.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, because Portia was breaking the fourth wall like on the very first episode with Dennis. Well, that sounds great. I mean, I'll obviously continue to watch Atlanta, and I think that sounds right. That there is those like beautiful scenes, but then they're definitely trying to figure out like what the hell went wrong in real time with the absence of Kenya, and then trying to get Phaedra back in there, waiting for Phaedra to become available.
That she was in the preview again. I think it might be next week, which I think is like episode 12. So maybe she'll be on for like 3.
It makes me really makes me think about that Andy statement when he got busted by TMZ, and they were like, "We're not enjoying Atlanta," or what about Kenya? What about Kenya leaving? And he was like, "When you see Phaedra, she is going to be like dynamite this season. You will love every moment." It's like you were that was like 7 weeks away. You were already teasing Phaedra. Well, amazing. I mean, no matter what happens in the Bravo universe, you and I will be there to talk about it. Yes. Between you and I.
Yeah.
I
have
ahead.
One thing, because you brought up Tinks. And we talked about Summer House, that I saw something that I simply must bring to our listeners' attention, that I only saw the headline. I think she's the one that called him out, and that's how it came up. But she reminded us that, I think I remember this from Jesse's first season, that they maybe shouted out that he adopted a cat during COVID, like a kitten. And he revealed on this podcast that he gave it away because he decided it was too much for him, which I'm like, loser behavior. I'm glad that at least a better scenario was organized, and he said that it's well taken care of wherever it went. But I'm like, that sucks.
I know. Yeah, I know. You and I have talked about that a lot. I also find that I get bummed out when I find out that people made the huge decision and leap and wanted to take all of the responsibility and like made all the decision making to lead to the point where you brought home an animal that loves you, and then when you find out that you like can't do it, it's such a bummer and a sad thing, to give up that responsibility. So yeah, I mean, I'm mad.
I'm just saying I will be using that as a shade of color over everything he does from here on forward.
I will say there are some caveats, because I don't know. I hate to be such a staunch, like I was, and I am. Like I looked at people differently when I found out like people in my real life had made that decision, brought an animal to their home, and then we found 6 months later you're asking about that animal, and they said, "Oh, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I got rid of that thing ASAP." Because I'm also a person that would adapt to the behavior typically of no matter what a horrible animal. I mean Archie, my dog, no offense to him, but he's one of the worst dogs of all time. And we adapted to him, we love him, but there are some scenarios.
He's not.
He's amazing. I love Archie. He's sitting right in front of me. He's so great. But no, I'm just saying I'm not that kind of person, but I know that there are probably 3 or 4 examples in Villa Rosa VIPs and Little Turtle Cuties. If you want to tell us the time when you abandoned an animal, let us know.
We have a safe haven for you.
I really did.
Andy Cohen famously.
I know.
After many, many years.
I did read the full. Yeah, you're right. That was
rough. That was a rough spot for him.
Yeah. So I am trying to have sympathy, but the action I do chastise is if you got a cat during COVID because you're lonely or you want to try something new, and you didn't think of all of the repercussions or ramifications of that decision, and you decided that I actually want to go out, and the litter box stinks or whatever, all that kind of stuff, that makes me upset. It's too big of a responsibility, and the animal gets definitely bummed out. They loved you for that month or 2 months.
And I'm pretty sure he has a roommate, so I'm like, 2 grown men couldn't take care of one single cat. Like, that's a red flag.
Damn it, Jesse! I wish I hadn't even heard this Tink's stuff, but we've been referencing that.
Tinks,
Tink's got to the bottom of this shit. Speaking of Jesse Solomon, I got something teed up right here. Lexi Wood just put out a sweater that I'm reading this for the first time. It says, "The feeling when you get the ick from Jesse on Summer House." She's selling sweaters that say that. Did you see this?
So dumb.
Okay, and then also lastly, I want to say congratulations to Jesse. Sorry, not Jesse. Sorry, I'm still thinking about Jesse. Jessel Tank just signed to WME. I learned from Queens of Bravo, one of the best Bravo accounts on the internet. Jessel Tank just signed to WME. She's repped by Carolyn Mineta, who represents Gwen Stefani and Coleman Domingo. So if you need to get in touch with Jessel about a forthcoming project, reach out to Carolyn Mineta at WME, and that's huge. That's one of the big 2 or 3 agencies that you can be signed by. So very big deal.
Did you say Gwen Stefani?
Gwen Stefani, Coleman Domingo, Lauren Lapkus, Maya Erskine, and many others. Yeah.
Maybe she'll start promoting Mark Wahlberg's prayer app, same as Gwen Stefani.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mark Wahlberg, who's a Christian man, has a prayer app. And Gwen Stefani, who's also Christian, in addition to Blake Shelton.
Yes, the Hallow prayer app.
Whoa.
Number one app for Christian prayer.
Number one. Wow. Oh, good. I mean, it's possible that Carolyn Mineta would say, Gwen, you love this prayer app. Would any of my clients be? Maybe one of my clients is interested in that. Maybe Jessel Tank, possibly. So that's easy. And then I only have one news story. I don't even know if I want to say it. Did you have anything else?
The summer house thing was the big deal, and I guess that's next week, the reunion.
Oh my God, yeah. I think we learned. Can I say what the summer house season finale is called, or is that privileged?
I don't know.
All right, we have one more. Yeah, we definitely have one more.
What's a hint?
And then it's. I'll say this. This is Bravo won't get mad. I don't think. No, I shouldn't say
it's probably on
it.
They put it's probably on the DirecTV guide already.
Okay, totally. So just pretend you got it from the 24-hour guide. You went on DirecTV and you went forward 24 hours. It's something that the apprehension that one feels the night before having to commit to a big work week. Does that make sense?
Scaries.
Oh my God!
I just said the one word.
and then
we get cut off, banned from BravoCon.
Oh my God, that's what I'm so. Oh my God, I'm so worried. Please don't repeat that and don't write that title. Anybody. And
then did we talk about that the set was bedbugs themed?
No, it's so cool. That's what I'm saying. When I see stuff like that, like you already said, did you say the prized pig?
Yeah.
I think it's the prized pig of the universe, and that's why they got that dreamland, dream world, beautiful set of a big, gigantic bed. It's just I don't know. I think Summer House is the hottest it's ever been,
Yeah.
And so good to them, great to them. They're all getting so many ads that I can't give enough hearts on Instagram to them all. Jesse's like, do you want a Klondike bar? I've got one in my freezer. And also over here, I'm eating Uber Eats. And then if I go outside, I'm stepping into shoes that I'm promoting. And then West is the same. They all have
He's got the Drizzlers. He's got the he was doing
slice Captain Morgan slicers.
Yeah. Slicers, Drizzlers.
And he's in Central
on top
Park.
Of the world.
He was in Central Park being able to squeeze out Drizzlers into dogs' mouths that were walking by.
I love it. Oh, I'm having a live thought right now that we have Bedbugs merch. We have a Bedbugs t-shirt and sweatshirt. We should do a redesign now that we have them all dressed for bed.
Yeah,
there are better photos available now.
Yeah, let's find images that with copyright on them and we could completely redesign everything around that. I think that's amazing. So look out for those. And then lastly, this is so stupid, but I just got to get us out of this news segment, right? Because we're done, right? 30 minutes of news. Yeah. I just saw this interview with Ramona, a singer. She's. It's not right.
I almost spit my soda out.
I know it's not right, but it was kind of a interesting interview because she was at the premiere of Natalie Portman's new movie. Natalie Portman has a movie called My Big Family or something, or My Lake House Family or something. And Ramona got one of the most coveted invites to appear on the red carpet. And she goes, I'm just so excited to see my friend Natalie Portman. She's one of my favorite actors. And the person was she knew Ramona enough to be what's going on with Roni. And Ramona was so much like a company person for Bravo. She goes, I don't know what Bravo's got up their sleeves, but whatever it is, it's going to be absolutely perfect. Bravo does everything right, and they're one of the most wonderful companies in the world. And then she just kept giving everything the most positive spin. And then she said, but then when she was asked if she would ever go back, she said, absolutely not. I'm having the best time of my life. I've been golfing a lot, and I've been hanging out with my daughter, Avery. So it was kind of just a big fun. I like that she still knows that she will never say one negative thing about Bravo just in case they ever call her on her phone again. But she's also looking forward completely and will not have anything to do with Roni in the future.
I've been seeing, I think it's Queens of Bravo that is passing this message forward, but I blinked and missed it when I watched Atlanta. But apparently there was like some sort of a flashback or reference to a conversation with Nene, and they've mentioned her a couple times, I think like through Cynthia, and Queens of Bravo keeps thinking like that's them like slowly opening the door to having her in the mix again.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, if Nene can come back, then really almost anyone can. We're talking Kelly Dodd, we're talking Ramona. Nene went full blown, like, accused Bravo of everything in the world. So
that's true. But she didn't do anything wrong herself. Like, she's not incriminated.
No.
Which I think is different than if you did like a crime.
Oh, of course, right. I'm trying to separate criminality versus how scorched earth you
like,
go post
she's
Bravo.
Not canceled, but she like said F you to Bravo.
Yes.
And I always believe that Andy doesn't really care about that ultimately if they come back around.
Yeah, and there was that interview. Now we're really going off the reservation, you and I. But there was that Bethany thing when Bethany wanted her to do the reality reckoning with her, and Nene was like, I didn't know I was on for this. She kind of was very polite, but she didn't go.
That was when Bethany was like, I always wanted to do a show with you. I thought they should call it Ebony and Ivory, and everyone was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Nene goes, how much longer is this interview that I have to do? Okay, last person in the Bravo Doghouse. Speaking of the Bravo Doghouse, Vicky Gunvalson was on Jeff Lewis, and Vicky said, she goes, I'm in the doghouse, Jeff. And he goes, oh, why? And she goes, because I was on the dark side of reality. This, I don't want to say shitty, but I was on this documentary called The Dark Side of Reality. They do this a lot. It's like the dark side of... It's like the dark side of pop culture, the dark side of the 2000s. I actually think it's a good document, or like good series. But unfortunately, they did Dark Side of Reality, and they got Vicky as a talking head. And Vicky says ever since then, Andy has said, why the hell would you go on that show just talking shit about Bravo? And that's why she didn't get the call for this season of the OC. And she's kind of bummed out. She's kind of doing the thing where she's like, she's not closing the door herself. She wants Bravo, obviously, to call her. But she's like, I made a mistake. Please, can't you just see that I made a mistake? She goes, they used my words out of context. I knew I shouldn't have done it. Like, she was doing everything to, like, on Jeff Lewis's show to be like, Bravo, please forgive me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But she did her issue was that she really did not want the phone call where she learns that her mother had passed. She said that was a really hard thing to get me to agree to, and obviously it was a very hard thing for us all to deal with. And so they kind of took that comment to be like, this showcases the toxic dynamic of reality television. You know what I mean?
I remember that. I mean, I guess you could call that exploitational, but I've always remember it to be one of the most heart-wrenching moments of television.
I thought the way Bravo handled that was actually very deft and provide it. Well, this is what they said is that it was, people have to deal with those phone calls all the time, and so it's interesting, in a reality television show environment to see how someone else processes like a call like that. So I understand, but I also understand Vicky. It's just I think that there's always a revolving door. Probably not Brandy.
Yeah, she's looking a little better, I think.
Yeah, I just mean that
going on.
I'm just not. Bethany,
Brandy.
Brandy. I don't know. That's those ones would be hard. But anyway, I think you and I obviously were feeling the news segment today. But do you want to switch over to talk about this episode of The Valley?
Yes. This is relevant because the whole crux of this drama is how much you do share on being on a TV show. And Nia seems to think that you're not obligated to share everything, whereas everyone else seems to agree that you should.
Oh my God, that is perfect. And that's absolutely what this episode is about. What was this episode called?
Behind closed pantry doors,
Oh
because
my God.
what happened in there was the most deplorable, depraved shit you could even imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of a play on who knows what goes on behind closed doors. And it immediately calls to my mind Danny racing in to get to that pantry as quick as he could, and then not knowing that Janet was inside, putting boiling hot water in her mac and cheese. And then he goes, "Don't tell anybody what you saw." And he started chugging tequila and closed the door and then left, right?
Yeah. I will say, I mean, we're going to go through it because that's the main, they're still talking about him this whole time is like
Right.
basically the whole thing. And I would understand if he felt gaslit by this experience, either that or there's like more. I'm not discounting what he did with Jasmine and stuff. I'm sure it was awful, and she's afraid that something like that could happen again, so that's valid. But I'm like, what else are we working with here?
I know.
Like, this is like a takedown.
Yeah. For me, the exact same. I echo all of those same sentiments. I have compassion for what Jasmine dealt with. That's obviously one of the worst scenarios you can deal with a blackout husband. It's like very awful. And I get why she's concerned about that, wants to talk about it. But also, I really don't know. I haven't seen enough evidence of Danny to make a decision on my own that Danny has a drinking problem, definitive drinking problem that Nia is like scared to talk about, and that Nia has been suffering through, and that they can all rally around Nia. So I need to see more. And right now, besides the Dark Side Danny event at Jackson Studio City, I am leaning towards, I don't imagine that he should be labeled as an alcoholic at this point, right? I mean, and that's what kind of what they're bordering on. It's like Janet is for the most part, I think, trying to make that accusation, but then also trying to couch it in enough like caveats that she's not actually making the accusation in a way.
She thought she was like full Woodward and Bernstein in the pantry, and she was like, this is the scoop of the century. I'm going to bring it up 400 times until the end of the season because it's all I have right now to be juicy.
I'm a little bummed out that Janet is doing that because I really feel like I started to have a big smile on my face about Janet's appearance and Dave and Buster's and stuff, but then I feel like once she found out that Nia was sort of like in a place where she could antagonize her, like, I don't know, like she got a little piece of the action, and now she wants to use Nia as sort of her target, just like she did Kristen. And I don't enjoy that aspect of what Janet's bringing. I gotta say, too, before we get into this, I didn't think this was a wonderful episode of The Valley. It obviously started very, very complex and dramatic. There's the Jax stuff. Obviously, it's like that's as heightened as things can get. But as much as I, find that compelling as a viewer, this Danny focus and what they're trying to do with this Dark Side Danny narrative, I think it's a little too much focus on it, and it kind of is making me hope for the next thing that's going to bring the Valley life again. It's not hugely impactful to the overall arc of the season, but when Alex Baskin, I think it's an issue of it possibly being overhyped, when he was like, "This is the greatest season of reality television," I was like, "Well, is Dark Side Danny chugging a shot of tequila in the pantry with Janet? Is that something that we're going to have stretch out for 3 episodes before we get to the next thing?" So just a minor dip in quality, but still overall, I love this. I love this cast for the most part. So still enjoyable, but I was kind of a little bit let down that there was nothing new coming up for me personally. Sure.
Yeah, I know. I keep being like, wow, like we're going a while without Jax, which is totally fine. And I'm curious what. It sounds like he's going to be up to no good the second he gets out of there. But
I'm the only one who wants, video diaries every single episode. Like I would find it to be interesting to know daily if Jax was like, hey, I just made a friend in here. He's actually really cool.
He should have it picture in picture in the corner where it's just a live cam of what he's doing.
I would find that definitely not to be, a detriment to the season. Like if he was like, this guy and me bonded over what kind of lunch we were eating, and then one of the group leaders let me lead the session for about 45 minutes, and I was able to I think that would have added Jax's perspective at a really what's the better word for it? A time in his life that we've never seen anything like it. Jax going through something like this.
He's
but I think
we all hijacked a bus and went on a boat, and then my friend threw a sink through the window.
He's like we convinced the group leader that we were clogging the toilets, and so they had to get new toilets in there. And I don't know if Jax was withholding of these video diaries, and I don't know if I'm the only one who just for some warped reason I want him, but I just think he was a cast member. He started out the season. I find it personally interesting as someone who's watched Jax for 12 years that he's in an extreme situation that's new for him. I could have used a couple of more of those, but then we also get one, I think, next week too.
Brittany reveals in the preview for next week that she's like, Jax has already signed a lease on a condo in Schwartz's building, and without telling me, and she goes, I wish he was in real jail, real prison.
Yeah. She tells Kristen and Luke that she wishes that he was in jail because his behavior is so abhorrent to her. That's very silly. Okay, so this episode, it's not just that my solution isn't that I just need more Jax and I need that bad behavior, but it's just that I don't know. I expected a stronger run at the start of the season before we got to Darkside Danny for 3 episodes. But this episode, no, we're not done with Darkside Danny. It starts in the middle of that fight. Zach is screaming at the top of his lungs. He goes, "Stop! Hold on! Stop!" And I was like, okay, it's not that bad. This is not that serious. It's not a big deal. I mean, relatively, this wasn't that big of a fight.
He's trying to get Brittany to acknowledge, she's like, there are so many times that you defended Jax when you shouldn't have, like, don't give her so much grief for trying to do the same thing. And then she's still pissed, like, I show my entire life. And they're just like, you just kept, to Nia, they're like, you just kept saying that he was exhausted instead of saying she was drunk. She was like, he was drunk, who cares? And then Danny comes into the room and she's like, you probably don't want to be in here right now. I'll fill you in. He's like so confused. He's like, this is about me. Holy cow. Like, what's going on?
He's really confused. I can't state it enough. He's like, this is about me? Because you wouldn't think it was. You're like, we're fighting with Nia, but then they're also talking about Brittany. Like, if I woke up after slugging a couple shots of tequila and I had just taken a 4-hour nap and I woke up, I would have no clue what was going on in this room. So I understand why he's completely confused. He's like, this is about me? And Nia, it's like, and it's about me as well. And then Jasmine reiterates multiple times what you said at the start of this, which is like, this is my grievance, is that I've seen what Darkside Danny is like once his eyes start rolling back in his head, and I never want to see it again. Yeah. So I have a firsthand, I'm a witness to this, and I don't like it. And also she reiterates that Brittany is worried about, not worried, that Brittany has that concern that Nia's not sharing as much as her. But like I said last week, I think Brittany was overstating this issue because she was just really, really drunk, which she says later in the episode. So I kind of blame the alcohol for Brittany being so emphatic about this. Yeah.
We also get another little quiet mean moment of Nia to Danny when he's all confused. He like goes in the kitchen and gets a can, and she's like, don't you dare drink an energy drink right now. We have kids we need to get up in the morning for. And he's like, I'm literally not drinking. Every time you actually see them interact, she's like cracking the whip. I'm like, what is actually going on here? Like, I need to know this dynamic. Like, that's what I want to see.
Totally. I really think that there are like 3 instances exactly like that we get when we're watching them. Yeah, I wonder what he brought out. I mean, so many different drinks look like energy drinks nowadays that who knows?
Remember, Kathy Hilton was like chugging a Red Bull, and she's like, I thought it was a soda.
Even wilder. She went into the fridge and grabbed a White Claw, and while they were just having a normal meeting with someone, I think Kathy started chugging a White Claw because she didn't know. There's so many. I don't even want to get started. There are so many different types of drinks nowadays. So I
gotta
get
be careful.
Yes. Have you ever had a Celsius?
I don't drink those, but Jimmy drinks them like every day.
Oh my god.
He has like the powder.
Oh my god. We've talked about this before, but my body, I like left to a new plane of existence. I couldn't function after drinking one of those. Okay, but Nia is like, she's so worried that he could be drinking something that she's like, don't drink an energy drink. We have to get up for kids. And he's like, it's not. And then they have their own private conversation, and their conversations are not very revealing. But like kind of how the cast is accusing them of this. At some point, I want to know Nia's actual reaction to Darkside Danny rearing his head at Jackson Studio City, and her talk about him grabbing Jasmine's girlfriend's ass and reckoning with that. They have not had a conversation where she has talked to him about that. It's like, there's no more relevant conversation for you two to have than that. And then when they get to this, she's kind of just upset, and she's talking about how drunk he was, but how she didn't properly relay that to the group, and they were talking behind her back, and it made her very upset that they were talking behind her back. And she keeps saying, you were drunk. I mean, you were drunk as hell, but you were also tired. And he goes, I wasn't that drunk.
He's like, I didn't drink that much more than, if any more than anyone else. Like, everyone was drinking. And she's like, don't say that. Like, you did drink too much. You know you drank too much. Like, she does still want to slap his wrist for it.
Would you, let's put this into our world. Like, if you were on a trip and you were in a pantry and you were grabbing a Nature Valley bar and you saw me creep in, and I went, shh. And then I said, don't turn around. And I grabbed a bottle of tequila. And I started chugging. Sorry, I closed the door first, and I started chugging a bottle of tequila, and I say, don't say a word. And I closed the door back.
I'll never tell.
Would you talk about that for the rest of the weekend?
No, but I would be like, So I'd be like, he doesn't want anybody to know about this.
So that was the most inflammatory version of that. But what the only thing that I think Danny doesn't get to wipe away is the closing of the door. That implies that you didn't want the camera people to follow you, or you wanted a break from camera. And unfortunately, Janet happened to be in the corner. And I think Janet is overplaying what this meant to her.
Yeah. She's brought it up. She brings it up here while they're still in Santa Barbara, and then she brings it up again later in an even 10 times more inflammatory way.
And here's what I'll say for all Bravo celebrities. You get a piece of conflict, and new Bravo celebrities, they say, oh my God, I got a piece. I'm going to make this piece into the biggest thing that anybody's ever seen, because I finally get my own little plot of land on these shows. And it's a huge problem, because a good cast member is going to go through a lot of these things and have a lot of stuff come to their door, and they're going to have to deal with it a lot. Whereas the new Bravo celebrities, they take something and they run with it, and they kind of run it into the ground. And that's sort of what I'll say, mainly that's what Janet is doing, with this piece of conflict she got.
Yeah, she goes as far as to say that she used to date someone that had a drinking problem, and that it's something that they should just talk about. And Janet is like, or Jasmine is like, we all know that Danny has a drinking problem. Like, we should just talk about it. I'm like, we do?
Yes. Yeah. Do you think Is this a world? I know it's wild, but is this a world where like you say that he gets blackout drunk and he's had 2 or 3 of these when he was dressed like Jamie Fraser? Is there any world where you get away with saying drinking problem, or is that just so known of a term that everyone knows when you say drinking problem, it implies bordering on alcoholism, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, I guess I need more. I don't know if I'm missing, we have on the show, he got like too fucked up. Then we have the Halloween example where he did something bad. But it also sounds like he doesn't party that often. So he's kind of like amateur hour. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know.
True. He did the worst thing you can do when well, not the worst thing. I've seen people be blackout drunk and do the absolute most despicable things you've ever seen in your life that would curdle your blood.
I'm scared.
I'm just kidding. But no, but he did, he did something horrible, but like we already said, I don't know if you and I, Turtle Time, put the official stamp of Danny as an alcoholic on him from what we've seen.
No, reasonable doubt for sure. And then Nia is saying, she's like, we are more reserved. We don't air our dirty laundry. And trust me, like, we have had plenty of problems, but we work on those problems and it doesn't need to be anyone else's business. And I'm like, well, then I rescind the taxpayer dollars from you guys getting paid to talk about this. Like, give us our Bravo bucks back and I'll give them to someone else who will.
Oh my God, could you imagine if we got to distribute Bravo bucks? I think if we ever interview someone again, we should have a bunch of Bravo bucks, and anytime they do something fun in the interview,
if they spill the tea, they get $2.
Oh my God, and we can withhold Bravo bucks. I think that is a really fun thing. Janet also, she goes, okay, so Janet is, I say this phrase all the time, but she's having a little bit of her cake and eating it too. She also goes, I also just want to acknowledge that if Nia needs to come to us for her husband's horrible drinking problem, we'll help her. She can confide in us. I'm like, you're really putting the worst view of on this, and she says that directly to Nia later, which Nia completely pushes back on. But I get what you're saying about Nia and Danny. I'm not 100% sure what they think this exercise is. I need to see them talk about Danny grabbing a cast member's ass at a Halloween party. Bottom. I was going to say bottom. I wanted to be respectful, but they've said ass so many times. I need to hear that conversation that Nia has, because she is appalled by almost all of his behavior. I mean, he almost drank an energy drink at 10 p.m. or whatever the hell. And so the fact that we don't get that conversation on camera, that's something that they have to be comfortable with at a certain point. Nia is very distraught, but then it kind of, she just says that the worst offense is that they waited for her to get up and then they talked behind her back. That really is a trigger for her. It seems like of everything.
Yeah. So more to come on this conversation. They leave Santa Barbara, and then we get a little guest star,
Huge.
Sheena, meeting Michelle for a hike.
Holy shit. What did you say when you were watching the screener and you saw Sheena pop up?
I gasped. I was like debating. I would never break the embargo, obviously, but I was tempted to tell my friends, and then I was like, beyond the embargo, I want them to have that same surprise delight.
That's amazing. And that's such a good way to treat embargoes. Megan goes, any special cameos popping up in this episode of The Valley? And I go, I can't break the Bravo embargo. So she started screaming when she saw Sheena. I wanted a little more from this. I think that we could have probably asked about Baywatch, because Sheena was the distributor of that news in 3 episodes before. So this is mainly about Michelle establishing that she has a relationship with Sheena. We get to see Sheena again, which I'm happy about. Mm-hmm. But it was more about the only new thing that is revealed is that Aaron, the Honey King, what's his brand called? Honey King?
No.
Honey Enterprises he goes, hey, you've got an asshole ex-husband. I hate to be around him. He sucks. He's so shitty. I don't think I could date you if he's so shitty near you. Right?
Yeah. I was trying to look up what the honey's called, and it's really hard to look up.
Aaron Honey.
I was like, the Valley Bravo honey.
We'll find out, and maybe we'll insert with AI what it was called, because we're able to do that now.
Kilo Co.
Oh, Kilo Co. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Kilo Co. Okay, so then it's just that Sheena goes. At the end, they're sitting at the. Is this Griffith or Runyon? I have to ask you.
I couldn't tell. It at times looked like Griffith, but I wasn't 100%.
I've only been to Runyon maybe twice in my life, and I've been to Griffith 1,000 times in my life. And I thought that one section they went to looked like Griffith. I was very happy. Sheena goes, "You can't let Jesse ruin your relationship with Aaron because you are beaming, smiling every day with Aaron, and you never smiled with Jesse." And then Michelle says, "That's basically my plan. I'm not going to let Jesse's piece of shit behavior affect my relationship with Aaron." Where do you stand on significant others not liking the old person in someone's life and saying, "I don't want to have anything to do with you because your ex is just so shitty"? Like, where do you think that morally that we should?
I mean, that's how I was surprised that she implied that he gave her an ultimatum.
What can she do?
Yeah, it's like, what do you want from me? Like, he sucks. Like, unless it's her behavior where, like sort of Lindsay Hubbard style, where she's just like obsessed still with how much her ex sucks and like talks about it all the time. And maybe he's like, can you like move on?
Yeah, that's what I would say. If Michelle was going, Jesse sucks, and she couldn't sleep at night, she was just screaming that, then I'd be like, okay, this is affecting. But they got to get that app, like we always talk about. Drop Isabella off. No more keys going to back and forth the house. You could really limit how much you see your ex. Have you ever seen In the Bedroom?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, you got to watch it, and you'll know why when everyone who has watched it, it's kind of the worst case scenario for having a bad ex. I'll just
Todd
say it.
Field.
Oh, it's one of the rare movies that he's made. He's only made, I think, 3. And he's 3 for 3.
What a king. I'm
Little
ready for him
Children.
to return.
He takes 10 years. He's the, people say he's sort of the heir to Kubrick because he worked as Nick Nightingale that one day on set, and he learned everything he could from Stanley. Okay, Jesse is back. He goes. He basically is like, "I'm not a piece of shit. Look at the kind of stuff I do. I've got my life coach here. His name is Scott, which we met. Do you remember this?
What?
Scott? Oh, are we? Oh, is that where we're at?
We met Scott?
Yes. Isn't Scott the life coach that we met from last season?
Oh, I thought you meant like we met him.
Oh, who? Oh no!
Like
I'm sorry.
in real life.
Oh my God! No, I would remember if I met Scott. I don't know. Maybe we met him at some point, but no. He. Sorry, we met him last season when he was helping Michelle and Jesse work through some issues. Now he's just on call for Jesse. Jesse uses him to get some of his thinking and talk about
giving
stuff.
Louis life coach men on the beach man.
I like Scott a lot more, to be honest. I see he's in the same realm in the mind. Oh God, I wish I remembered Louis' thing. It's so it's perfect. It's called. Oh my God. Anyway, I get why he gives that. Definitely the screaming and when he goes, you squeal as loud as you can. But I actually liked Scott's advice here, and I'm just going to go through it very quickly. Jesse goes, I'm a mess. I'm so tired. I really blew it on the Santa Barbara trip. I called my ex-wife, the worst names you could ever say. And this is when Scott says, he goes, life is a garden. Whatever you water, that which is your attention, that's what is going to grow. And he goes, you've been planting seeds all over town. If you water something that's a horrible, horrible plant, your relationship with Michelle, it's going to grow like poison ivy. Whereas if you plant a beautiful seed, maybe your relationship with Isabella, maybe a work meeting that you have coming up that you really want.
It'll be daffodils.
It'll be daffodils. And
daisies.
that is maybe it's a simplification, but I actually think that there's some truth to that. If you spend a lot of time just harboring on negative thoughts and things that don't make you feel good, the result is that that's going to have a lot of prominence in your life. And then Jesse goes, I wish that there was something I could do right now. I wish I could stand with a bunch of my best male friends with my shirt off and scream at the top of my lungs. And he goes, well, I can't get you a bunch of your friends, but I can't have you scream in a pillow right now at the top of your lungs. So Jesse goes, I'll take it.
Yeah, he's like, not once, not twice, but 3 times, quick little blips. And they like do a freeze frame of every time he screams, like the like black and white memory of his anger.
It was good editing. It was like Michelle throwing wine in his face and he's screaming with all of his might. And then he felt good after it. So where do you're not the biggest fan of Scott?
This doesn't seem to be working for Jesse, considering it seems like he's been talking to him for years.
I know. I think Jesse needs one more ayahuasca trip and a couple more sessions with Scott and then someone else in addition to that.
I think Scott could hold him a little more accountable. He was like, Michelle puts you in devil mode and then blames you for being a devil.
Yeah, he goes, and then everyone forgets how awful she is, and then they blame you because you acted like you were in full-blown devil mode. Yeah, you're right. Maybe too accommodating. One of Jesse's problems is that he's kind of a mean-spirited person in a way.
Yeah, he's a fucker.
Like he kind of gets joy from being mean and picking on people and giving people wedgies and punching them and... Like, it's just not good. Like, that whole kind of personality needs to be adjusted a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. He needs to go clear. But we could talk about that more later.
Could you imagine if he got his hands on an e-meter and he went to the diagnostic center? They would go... Oh my God, they'd be like, we got to get a new machine in here, Jesse. You are hitting 11,000.
The vibes are off.
Thetan levels through the roof. You are so contaminated with thetans that you are never going to get to the next level.
They're like swimming around inside your body. Like, we need to expel them immediately.
I have never seen so many thetans within a human body. You got basically a full colony invaded within you. Okay, Kristen and Luke's house. Not much to say here, although Luke does deliver the line of the episode. Oh no, this is a huge deal. Luke and Kristen.
They're only renting.
But still, I mean, if I rented a 3-bedroom house in the valley, I'm saying, get over here ASAP. Come jump in my pool. Like,
well, you know what I wouldn't do? I wouldn't paint the lava rock. Okay,
I know.
I'm pissed.
I know. What is lava? What are those? I'm not hugely familiar with that kind of aesthetic. What do they typically look like?
Like brown and stuff, like rocks.
And then Kristen, to our dismay, jointly, she painted it with gray to match the walls.
It's a real problem.
I've actually, you know what? I've seen lava rock painted white, like white walls, and I said, "What the hell is this?"
Like, what do you think I see before my eyes? I see that you just covered it like the landlord special with paint.
The landlord must have. I hope they don't pop in and say, "Jesus, what the hell did you do to the lava rock? You painted it the same color as the wall. You can barely see that it's rocks anymore."
Yeah, because it was like a cutie little, like, classic 50s. It had that cool little divider. And I'm like, I hope they don't make any more fucked up decisions.
Also, Luke apparently is going to get on a ladder and start taking out those beautiful chandeliers from the place.
Yeah, there's going to be some fugly stuff, but it's okay.
But but just let's give the full. Okay, I do not like, obviously, the design decisions, some of them, but I am proud of them because I was a little bummed out at that, like the last apartment, just because I knew that Kristen had one of the most beautiful houses of all the Vanderpump Rules cast members when she originally got her house. Then she had to sell it to move in with Alex or whatever. So I'm glad that she's back in a home with Luke. I'm glad that they're like doing well enough to get this place. But then Jasmine comes over, and Jasmine has to again tell everyone why this is such a big deal. And this is why I'm like, I agree. But also, like, we can talk. I feel that urge to talk about other stuff. And we don't need to justify it all the time. And Luke and Kristen are more on the side of, like, what the hell is the big deal here? Besides Dark Side Danny, what's the big deal? And Luke says, right to Jasmine, he goes, since when does it matter if someone gets drunk in this group and falls asleep? Why does that matter? And when you reduce it to that, you're kind of just like, yeah, what the hell are we talking about here?
Like, if he had done one more egregious thing on this trip, that he talked to someone inappropriate or, like, said something horrible, then I'd be like, all right, like, this is deserved. Like, he already has one strike, but all he did was like slink away and disappear.
He did the best thing you can do when you're blackout drunk: fall asleep immediately and let the night take you.
Totally.
So then Jasmine, but then they all acknowledge that they're going to have an apology dinner, an apology caviar dinner at Brittany's house to apologize to Nia. And Jasmine says, I am going to be a part of this apology dinner.
Yeah.
So they all think that they went overboard in Santa Barbara, at least to the point where they need to apologize to Nia for this.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting, and I'm glad that she expressed it in this fashion, that she said that she often feels disrespected as like a queer woman, because if that exact scenario would have played out with one of the straight couples and like he did that to someone's wife, to a man's wife, that it would have been like explosive and like a whole big deal that turned into like a fight and like violence and whatever. And because it was two women, no one really cared that much. And I was like, that's valid, actually. I vibe on that.
I agree with that. Once you said the example of if another cast member, a friend, slapped Nia's ass drunk, Danny, what the hell would you be thinking?
Remember when she sobbed when Danny got pantsed?
Oh my god. It was. I couldn't believe that the Valley started out with that as the cliffhanger at the end of it. I know she was very upset about that. I think all this stuff makes me think that like Nia and Danny, there is a lot of secret stuff going on here that I want to learn more about. There's just more to them that we could explore, that Nia is, in a way, purposefully kind of withholding, that we don't get access to.
She's giving, like, that's between us and our pastor or something. It's like, all right, well, have fun with that then.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even reveal who they would sleep with as a celebrity.
Yeah, sucks. Okay, we get another cameo right here. Kyle Chan back in the mix.
Can I say what I said about my embargo when Megan goes, is there any secret huge cameo? I go, which one? But I didn't.
Don't get me started.
Kyle Chan is behind the desk, and Luke and Danny are going to get the ring for Kristen, of which he will lead his proposal with this ring. So we get Kyle Chan back, in this episode, and Danny goes, can you remind me of the 3 C's, Kyle? And you could tell that Kyle's kind of taken aback. He thinks that Danny might be kind of testing him a little bit, but then Kyle Chan, I swear, it was like he gets him instantly. He goes, cut, clarity, and carrot. And Danny's like, damn, you do know your shit, Kyle.
He's like, I guess that's what you mean. I don't think we even really say that as a term, but whatever. But again, we have to imagine that Kyle Chan is giving a discount, but they set it up that he said that Kristen would chop his balls off if he spent more than 10 grand, but they are looking at a $14,000 ring. I have to assume we get the, Vanderpump, Valley, I'm on TV discount. I don't know where that ranges from. 10%, 15%, 20%.
20% off if Kyle Chan gets to appear in an episode. And I also like that Luke did a little extra. So if someone said, I'm going to cut your balls off, Riley, if you go above 10, I think it's kind of cute to do 11, to be like, I just had to go over the top, but not too much. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. They do shots of his Gold Bar whiskey because he had to get that product placement in.
You showed what those look like, I think, on Patreon.
I did. I saw them at Bevmo. They had the minis.
He pours it, and it's like a perfect little time. I love that shot glass that he used to commemorate that someone bought jewelry from him. Yeah, little sippers.
And they're like, when did you know that she was the one? And he's like, we've been through so much. And they do a montage of highs and lows. And I won't dox my medical records, but they show my gynecologist because I go to the same one as Kristen. I think I've said that before. It's Stassi's, it's Angelina Jolie's, it's Tori Spelling's.
Oh my God. Do you ever tell? I guess I don't. I know we've already talked about this, but oh my God, are you just starstruck every time you go in?
It's more like I feel like I'm transported to the office, and I'm like,
oh my God. Wow, yeah, because I was wondering, because you told me, you go, Dr. Rothbart, all exclamation points, and I go, I didn't see his lower third, so I forgot how you knew.
I know him personally.
That's amazing. That is so huge. Okay, good. Okay, so and then
he's. I like to tell everyone this because I looked him up once and I saw his name dropped in. Remember when Brad and Angie were, for some reason, living in Namibia?
Mm-hmm.
They flew him to Namibia to deliver. I forget if it was the twins or one of the other ones, but
Is his office really nice?
it's nice. It has a fish tank.
It should be like Yang Chow's, where they show everyone that comes in and who's the celebrity clients on the wall.
Yeah. It's right. It's I'll just say it's near the Century City Mall, so it's a schlep for me.
Damn, but it's Dr. Rothbart.
It's good as gold.
That's amazing. And then, you know, I'm all in on Luke and Kristen. There were some hiccups last year. You and I had one eye closed, one eye open. But I actually think Luke has made the commitment to this show and to LA. And there's a couple stuff that they probably smoothed over on the road. But I've actually seen a lot more, a little more depth in Luke than I saw last season, and I kind of get their relationship. Obviously, any relationship can fail, especially in reality television, but I'm rooting for them at this point. I think that they resolve some of those bigger issues.
They do seem like aligned generally. Like when there's drama, they're like, they are both deciding to defend Nia and Danny, and so it's, you know.
In two cute moments we missed, they go, Jesse, we're going to leave you here in your blanket in Santa Barbara. We're going to go in the hot tub together. I was like, oh, hot tub time. And then in the morning, she goes, Luke, I have a hankering for something wet and sorry.
Okay, he brings her watermelon.
And he brings her, and it's like, I like those.
Is this ignorant? You have recently been with a pregnant woman. Is she allowed to go in the hot tub?
No. Oh.
I was going to say, like, she's going to bake that little thing.
Well, but Kristen's not pregnant at this point.
Oh, right. I keep absolutely
know.
forgetting that and having to be reminded every 10 minutes of the episode.
I also, when Kristen did a big slug of alcohol, I was like, oh my God, no, you're pregnant, Kristen. And so I'm forgetting that I think it was like 2 months after this. That's why it's
because it feels like she's been pregnant so long, just in my recent memory, that I cannot get it through my skull. Like when they had Coronas at the house, I was like, oh, and then I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, if you're allowed to go in the hot tub 3 times during your pregnancy, first, second, and third trimester, and then you're allowed to have 3 Coronas in your pregnancy. Okay, next up is Jesse and Isabella. They have a little bit of fun. This was cool. I know you liked this. He goes, Isabella, what do you want? Chicken nuggets and your favorite French fries from Chateau Marmont? And she goes, yes, I would love those French fries that I guess
she's like a little Eloise at the plaza. She's so spoiled. And then, it's just kind of, it's almost like this version of how it plays out would be how it could be if they got along. Like Michelle FaceTimes Isabella's iPad and they're like goofing around. She's like, you forgot your key at my house. And Isabella's like, oh my God. And she's like, I'll come bring it to you. And she drops it off and everything goes fine. And it feels like, just don't talk that much.
Once they're removed, from each other and they're not reckoning with the fallout from their horrible relationship, I think their antagonism towards each other will dissipate. Hopefully. I don't know. I've never been, I'm not divorced at all. I'm not even close. Hopefully not. But you know what I mean? And like maybe they can get back to this place. I want to say I've had the French fries at Chateau Marmont.
Any good?
Really good. I told you
$30?
Yeah, but I was trying not to spend money. I told you. So me and my best friend, we split a Stella Artois and we split a plate of fries.
I'm sure the waitress loved that.
Yeah. Do you think that Isabella getting French fries from Chateau is kind of similar to what James Kennedy's mother famously says, that James Kennedy, you took your first little baby steps on the floor of Tiffany's?
I love it. I feel like Jesse, even if he was in absolute economic turmoil, he would never move because he gets off so hard on living down the street from Chateau.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I would probably talk about it all the time too if I would lived even close to a Chateau Marmont. Okay, then Michelle drops up the key. It's totally fine. Okay, Brittany is
also like, what does she need a key for? She's like 3.
And,
How old is she? 4?
Yeah, and also I didn't think that Isabella actually put up that much of a fight. They go, Isabella gets her way. She goes, Mommy, I want the key now. And I was like, that was really the reason? Like, she didn't fight for it that hard. If you probably like gave her a French fry from Chateau Marmont, she'd probably forget about that fridge key in like 10 minutes.
Is she like a little latchkey kid? They're like, all right, walk up the hill now. It's time to go to Mommy's. Bye. She gets like eaten by a coyote.
She goes, I looked all over the house. And I know. I would completely worry about that, especially near the Chateau Marmont. Yeah, no, I was like, what the hell's going on? She put that house key in the fridge. I was like, what the hell? Okay, Brittany.
She's giving me on a Wednesday when I'm putting my sunglasses in the fridge, you know what I'm saying?
Of course. Oh my God. Don't get me started. If I'm tired, I will put, I could do something very similar. Car keys in the oven. Okay, Brittany's hosting a thing, and really I can kind of gloss over this. Not gloss over it, but, actually there's some fun stuff. It's caviar dinner. She goes, Chef Gino is here. Chef Gino, would you like a bunch of tequila shots before you serve us dinner? And he goes, actually, probably not right now. And she goes, Chef Gino is one of the biggest cutie chefs we have access to. He's really great to look at. That's why I booked him for this.
Yep. So they all sit down. They give Kristen vegetarian caviar, whatever that is. And Brittany says she wants to clear the air. With Nia, she's like, I'm sorry how it came across. We had been drinking all day. Jasmine also apologizes and is like, sorry for how it came out. I didn't mean to like yell at you. And Nia immediately cries, says that it was hurtful that they were saying stuff behind her back. And Jasmine does still remind her about what happened at Jax's bar in October when he was grabbing ass and saying, call me daddy, or whatever the hell it was. And Nia said, she's like, trust me, we went to individual therapy, group therapy, couples therapy. Like, we did every version of therapy after that because I was pissed.
Okay. So they did deal with that. Like, they really did. Like, that was a big deal in their relationship. We don't get to hear another conversation about it, I guess, from them.
I guess. And then, I mean, this was really sad, and it was like, I'm glad that she shared this. But it was a little bit like, well, there's nowhere to go from here now. But she opens up that she's like, I don't think you guys know me entirely and like what I come from. And she reveals, which maybe she kind of mentioned that. Did she mention any of this? Not at all.
I don't remember. I mean, I don't know. I feel bad that you and I could have forgotten such like pivotal backstory.
Well,
but
they did act like it was a bombshell, but she says that she was like oftentimes homeless with her mom, like staying in shelters, pitching tents, collecting cans, and that even in her adult life she's slept in a car, and that basically as a result of that she has had to be positive as a form of survival. So she's basically putting this all in the same box, saying that like, maybe I don't want to harp on negative shit and like talk about our hard times because I've had a good outlook to get through the hardest shit you've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I get that, but we still see that there's like cracks in the veneer that like, if you're on camera, we're going to be curious about.
Yeah. No, totally. And like, no, I agree. And I think this was almost like, you say I don't reveal. Well, look at this. I'm revealing, what is completely foundational for me and where this comes from in my life. And Kristen has the, completely empathetic reaction in the moment as she listens to Nia say this. She goes, I didn't know this about Nia. So that means it probably wasn't talked about in season 1 because Kristen would have seen it, and they would have talked about it. So Kristen said, I have full empathy for this. Like, I completely understand. And this is when Janet, she kind of goes back to the most, I guess you'd say, I don't know. Janet says again about the pantry, and she goes, I felt really uncomfortable when Danny popped his head in and shut the door on me. I felt like I was witness to an act that the world didn't want to see, or that the world couldn't see, and I had to be stuck there to witness it, and it wasn't something that I wanted to witness. Which, I guess if you're like, are you drinking tequila away from your wife's watchful eye because she knows you have a problem and she doesn't like it, and so then you just made Janet like a witness to that behavior? I kind of get, well, okay, I'm just giving
I'm rolling my eyes at her behavior just because I'm like, first of all, you don't really care that much. Like,
right.
You're bringing this on camera to like humiliate them. She brings up her ex's drinking problem again and compares the two and is like, I personally dated someone that struggled with drugs and alcohol, so I get it. And Nia's like, whoa. She's like, okay, she's like, he does not do drugs.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about like addiction. Like, that is not what we're talking about. So like, can you please stop? And she's like, she is so off base. That's the worst apology I've ever heard, that she brought that into the mix when they were supposedly apologizing. And then Janet's like, God forbid that I compare my painful experience to her perfect fucking life.
Yeah. And Janet doesn't know what she's doing, in this instance, because she's kind of, she knows like reality television like the back of her hand. I mean, I think she was one of the biggest Vanderpump Rules fans, and she knows how these shows work, so she knows making that comparison is going to lead the audience to think that Danny is the one with a drinking problem as well. So it's Nia, I think, rightfully in the moment checks that, and probably won't have a good relationship with Janet the rest of the season, because Janet brought it to that level,
Yeah. Danny said on Watch What Happens Live that, like, he said something like Janet is like a toxic, poisonous person or something like that. I'm curious what, again, we're recording before the after show. I'm sure a lot of this will come into play there. We'll talk about it next episode. But then I'm like, okay, well, again, case in point, I know she has like 400 kids, but she was like, my Uber's here, gotta go. And I'm like, this dinner's for you.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I blinked for a second, and I was watching with Megan after the embargo lifted. I was like, okay, let's watch. I closed my eyes, and I looked up, and someone had taken Nia's seat, and I go, what the hell? Nia left halfway through her caviar dinner, which was dedicated to
I don't think they had served the mains yet.
Yeah, that Chef Gino is making a bunch of shit, and Nia had to leave, I guess, because she felt like her job was done. Like, I revealed that thing, and people apologized to me.
That's when that was like a hint at why they're pissed off, because I hate when people are like, all right, I checked in, I did my thing, and time to go. I'm like, no, you have to slog through the whole call time like everybody else.
Yeah, you have a call time and you have a wrap time. Was your wrap time 2 hours before the rest of them? I have to say, though, there must be, we were talking about Janet being a toxic, poisonous cloud. There must be something good in Janet, because Jason is like a true beacon of light and has never done anything wrong in his life and is so sweet.
Oh, well, his is coming.
Oh.
Kristen is ready to take his ass down. I was so excited about that. I love when, like, that's actually what I'm enjoying so far this season. I'm like, they're like, oh, you think Nia and Danny are these little sweethearts? We're going to cut them up. And then now Kristen's like, there's a hint that Kristen is like, if you guys are going to fuck with Danny, then maybe Jason should wear his wedding ring when he goes out. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it is a little fun that Kristen's bringing that to light. I got to ask Jason that firsthand in my Valley Van interview, exclusively.
You're like, are you wearing your wedding ring? Why don't you wear your wedding band when you go to the strip club?
He said, get out of the car. Well, all right. So then, though, this was kind of interesting. I felt like after Nia left, everybody kind of gets fired up again. And they go, now I'm still pissed. And Janet's like, she didn't understand what I meant. I meant, if Danny is drunk off his ass and having problems and your marriage is suffering from his drinking, that we're here for you. And that's what she didn't get. It's like, no, Janet, I think she understood what you were saying. You were accusing her husband of potentially being an alcoholic in the moment. And then Jasmine goes, this is what I'm pissed off about. Danny, she said, came to Jax's Studio City with a jacket and no outfit on. And that's when he said, call me daddy, get me a drink. And he got kicked out, and he's been kicked out of Jax's Studio City twice, she says. So the story is getting worse. And I thought that Danny had been dressed up in a Halloween costume and that someone had said that it was Pennywise from the movie It. But he was just kind of in addition to all the other bad behavior, he showed up to a Halloween party just wearing a jacket with no shirt on.
He was nude. That's the problem.
That was a huge issue. And then Jasmine said, another thing. Jasmine goes, I want to talk to Danny because... She goes, I want to talk to Danny because it's not good. Exactly what you already said, that it's not good. If this was another friend, this would be treated completely differently. But then, unfortunately, I think you got to cut that flashback that I keep seeing where Danny had that conversation with Jasmine, because I'm like, you had that conversation. Like,
right.
Are you going to say, wait, we had that conversation and I want to have it again? Because if that conversation was so meaningful and impactful, and that was the one time he was being accused of this on camera, why not have shown that full conversation or reference it more. But instead,
Right.
Jasmine's like treating it like that conversation has never happened. She's like, I'm going to have a
Right.
new conversation with him.
Right. Yeah, they're like, we don't want to wrap up that storyline in the first episode. Let's let it ride for like 7 episodes.
Yes. That's those were my thoughts. Okay, we are winding down. Can I say it? I
Yes.
mean, we really are.
Did you scream when they showed Danny and Nia's condo like I did?
You know what? No, I'm used to my house looking like a pile of shit.
I
No, I'm
was
just
like,
kidding.
I mean, they had like 400 Amazon boxes in a pile. There was like, I guess in his defense, he was like folding laundry. So maybe there was just like piles of shit that was getting organized. But I wrote down in my notes, Danny, Nia condo, disaster zone. And then like 1 second later, she was like, it's a disaster in here. I was like, that's what I said.
And I'm so glad she acknowledged it, because if they would have shown that with no commentary, you and I would be having a fit. We'd say that was a disaster.
But it always
zone.
looks like that every time they've shown it.
But I know, but yeah, I'm a different person. I mean, 3 kids, Asher, Billy, Bailey, Barkley, all 4 kids, Barkley, Bailey, what did we say, Billy, and then Asher, the
Bunko.
mess, Bunko, the 4 Bs, Bunko, Bailey, Billy, and what did you say? You said Bunko, right?
Bunko Booko.
Bunko Buko, Bailey Buko, Billy Buko, and then I forget, not Buster Buko. Anyway, the 4 Bs. You have
They're
no...
like Harpo.
Yeah, it's Harpo Buko, Danny Buko Jr. Okay, anyway, we remember these kids' names. We remember the kids' names, but you caught them at a bad time. They're like, we gotta film you, Nia, as you get back to the house. Talk to Danny. She goes, shit, I bet my place looks like absolute fucking shit.
I'm surprised they even allow that out of everything.
They had to. That's, maybe we give them credit for that. And then Nia said, guess what? A new accusation was leveled by Janet. They say,
guess what? You're an alcoholic.
She said she compared you to one of her people in her life that she's dealt with that have drug and alcohol problems. And again, Danny's reaction kind of gives credence to the philosophy that he's maybe not an alcoholic, because he goes, what the hell? What's going on? Like, what are you talking about? I was compared to someone that has addiction issues in Janet's life. Like, he really doesn't understand.
He laughs at the accusation. She goes, don't laugh, take it seriously. And I'm like, damn, he can't live for a second around her.
She goes, you do a nervous laugh. I think it's nervous laughs at some stuff like that, but I don't like it at all. And I was like, oh my God, it's like, this is, I think, the 4th or 5th time where Nia's like corrected like character or personality things within Danny that are going to be hard to, get away from. And then Danny says, he goes, I'm in complete shock that this is happening. It's like a snowball is rolling down a hill and getting bigger and bigger, and I have nothing to do with it except I pushed it, once at Jackson's Studio City when I got drunk. And then he goes, this whole evening feels like the roast of Danny Buko.
Where's Jeff Ross? Like, he should be here. And what's her name that hosted the Golden Globes?
Oh my God. If this is the roast of Danny Buko, then where the hell is Jeff Ross, not Dane Cook, Anthony Jeselnik, Sarah Silverman.
What's that blonde chick's name?
Yeah, no. She got a Netflix special, Nicole.
No.
She had Sandoval. Shit. She had Sandoval on her podcast, or he was on hers. If this is the roast of Danny Buko, then where the hell...
Nikki Glaser.
If this is the roast of Danny Buko, then where the hell is Nikki Glaser at? Where the hell is Jeff Ross? Where the hell is... No, I'm just kidding.
Where's Kim Kardashian?
If this is the roast of Danny Buko, then where's I was going to say, I can't think of one other person. Martha Stewart obviously did the Justin Bieber roast, and it completely rehabilitated
Natasha
her career.
Leggero.
Oh, huge. Natasha Leggero, that's a good one. Okay, and then and he goes, Danny goes, you actually get a glimpse of Dark Side Danny. He goes, this is starting to feel like the roast of Danny Buko, and I'm starting to get really pissed off. And it's like, oh my God, I really think Dark Side Danny might have been about to pop out again. And then less impactful is a little peek over at Janet and Jason. Janet goes, I'm not saying Danny needs to go to a mental health facility like Jack's, but I do think that if you're hiding your alcohol, that could be a bigger issue. And Jason is such a supportive person. He's like, yeah, Danny does some bad stuff when he's drunk, I'll have a talk with him about it, because it's one thing to get blackout drunk and just have the best time of your life alone.
Yeah, Jason's official role as the guy who just checks in with the other guys. And then, more to look forward to next week. I think it'll be hopefully more fun.
Yeah,
but
I think
only a couple of clues.
I see what's coming up, and I'm happy about it. Kristen and Lou.
Future is bright.
Future's bright. Well, good. This was fun to talk about the Valley. I think still, no matter what. At least it wasn't a complete slog like some of the episodes we have to talk about. Let's you and I really feel like on the Turtle Time report card, news hugely fulfilled. Recap of the Valley. Yes, you just listened to it. An hour of it. Lastly, how do you feel about winding things down? I don't have any more news. Oh, I did actually want to have a sad moment. I am so sorry. No, it's not sad. But I want to say I apologize completely for Penny screaming and crying her ass off last week. I only found out because only 17 or 19 people commented, hey, your baby is crying, your baby is crying. Just know Penny is well taken care of. I'm not a single dad that is recording Turtle Time that is letting my baby cry for hours on end. It was taken care of, I promise. But I'm so sorry, because why the hell would you have to listen to that? It's only because Turtle Time on my end is such a shitty operation for me that was even conceivable as something you all had to listen to. So I want to apologize.
We accidentally had Penny's mic on.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I got a Bluetooth mic and I left it in Penny's room, and that was the worst case scenario. But trust me when I say I think I give me and Megan as parents 97% out of 100. So
she's good. But if you want to support that household and keep Penny fed, why don't you join our Patreon so that she can eat all the, I don't know, what's she into, avocado?
Oh, happy baby, mush, happy teether baby, crackers, Once Upon a Farm. Oh, if you let me...
Jennifer Garner?
Yes, if you let Megan and I splurge with your money, we'll get Penny Once Upon a Farm pouches. And then Penny's just eating real food, too. So any food that I eat could go in Penny's mouth, too, after we get done eating it. So it's truly a win-win for the Patreon community.
For $5 a month. Penny, that's like one meal per day.
I did say we were good parents, so she's not lacking in food. But I'm just saying you could really step up the food equation if you give me and Amy $5 that will split equally, $2.50 a month.
And, I can get Norman Drizzlers.
Oh my God, you and I could be. There's no end to what we could buy if we had more money.
Yeah. So Patreon, $5 a month. You get 4 extra episodes where we recap Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning. We just dropped a ton of new merch, which if you are a member of Patreon, you get a discount on.
We won't say that code. That is only for Villa Rosa VIPs. It's an exclusive discount that you get. And I feel like the merch is doing, I would say, really well. Right? I mean, it's just
People like it.
It's so fun already. So
I think I already was wearing this last time, but I'm wearing my Norman sweatshirt.
I'm unfortunately wearing fall 2004 collection. I'd rather be taking
That's vintage.
I'd rather be taking a certified turtle piss break, but I am so excited to get my hands on all that new merch. So support us on Etsy. On that way, you feed me, Amy, my baby, Norman, and you also get something in return for your money. One of these shirts.
Yes. Yeah, we're starting to collect coins for the road to BravoCon. And then, like we always say, rate and review, subscribe, watch on YouTube, and leave us comments just because it's fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, I put a stop to this. Do not review based off last week's episode and say something about the audio quality. I've already apologized for that, so do not review.
Doesn't count.
Do not review about that episode. That's all we have to say. I think, right? I mean, that's it. I love our reviews. Oh, and I want to say a little tease that you and I might have something coming up in the pipeline, just auditorially. How do you say that?
In the audio sense.
In the audio sense, where you might, if you listen to the podcast feed, you might go, what the hell is this? This is a cool new thing. So that's a major tease. I hope it ends up happening. But you might get really excited when you're listening to our podcast auditorially. All right. Okay. Amy and I have to sign off. I'm going to go take care of Penny, and we'll see you back for our Friday episode where we will talk about Summer House. Good night.
Bye.